See you, Newt. 4 months ago, I created the Presidential Commission to Make America Healthy Again, and today the commission officially delivers its first report on childhood health. Here are just some of the alarming findings, and they really are alarming. It's unbelievable, terrible. More than 40% of American children now have at least one chronic health condition. Since the 1970s, rates of childhood cancer have soared in many cases by nearly 50%, 50%. Well, in the 1960s, less than 5% of the children were obese. Now over 20% are obese. A few decades ago, 1 in 1, think of this one. This is, to me, the one that gets me every time, and it seems to be getting worse. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. Today, it's 1 in 31. Last time I heard the number is 1 in 34, right? Now it's 1 in 31. There's something wrong, and we will not stop until we defeat the chronic disease epidemic in America. We're going to get it done. For the first time ever, this report examines some of the root causes that many believe are making our children sicker and our population sicker, I guess. It just doesn't stop with the children. It's our population also, such as the ultra-processed foods, over-medicalization and over-prescription and widespread exposure to potentially toxic chemicals. Unlike other administrations, we will not be silenced or intimidated by the corporate lobbyists or special interests. And I want this group to do what they have to do. We have to spell it out. In some cases, it won't be nice or it won't be pretty, but we have to do it. When you hear 10,000, it was 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 31 for autism. I think that's just a terrible thing. It has to be something on the outside. It has to be artificially induced, has to be. And will not allow our public health system to be captured by the very industries it's supposed to oversee. So we're demanding the answers. The public is demanding the answers, and that's why we're here. Already we're phasing out 8 of the most common artificial food dyes. And we ended the most serious conflicts of interest at the FDA. We had a lot of conflicts over there. Earlier this week, we approved a SNAP waiver request from Nebraska so they can stop taxpayer dollars from being used to make our children obese. I understand requests from 3 more states will be approved shortly, and more are expected to come in the following weeks. Over the next 80 days, the Commission will build on its work in this report to develop a roadmap to bold and transformative public health reforms for our consideration. It's a consideration, and we'll lay out the facts. Let me say congratulations to the entire MAHA movement. This movement has become very hot. People are really, I tell you, they're going crazy over MAHA. They're going crazy, right? And I look forward to continuing the historic progress. And I will say this whole group, this whole table, they're very, I use a word that's because it's a beautiful word, actually. The Democrats took it and they used it instead of the word liberal. They used the word progressive. And normally I'd say you're very progressive, meaning you're far. They're not progressive. You are progressive. They shouldn't be allowed to use that word. And and so therefore I'm not going to use it to describe you, but you are far forward thinkers. You're amazing thinkers, and we appreciate having you. It's this tremendous talent around this table, the most respected people anywhere in the world, actually. And I've been a fan of Bobby for years. He came up to see me 13, 14, 15 years ago, I remember, and he left. And I made a couple of the statements that he made because I agreed with the same thing, and we both went through hell. Do you remember that? It was a massive, but you know what? We turned out to be right. It was sort of interesting. But I've been a friend of Bobby, and he's been a foe, too. He's tried to stop a couple of my jobs. In one case, he did stop a job, and I was really angry. And then about 4 months later, we went into like a depression. And I saved a hell of a lot of money by the fact that you stopped it.
You're welcome.
So I never minded. I always said, thank you very much for stopping that big job I was going to do. But he's a fantastic guy, and Bobby, we're with you all the way. And Your beautiful wife is right sitting in the front row, and she's always been right there with you. And, you know, it was very interesting. When Bobby came, I really wanted Bobby to join, and he was doing very well as a candidate, really well. He was being treated very unfairly by the other side, but he was doing so well that they treated you unfairly. They had no choice. I think they said, in order to qualify, Newt, you had to have 80% of the vote. Okay, do you remember that deal? You had to have 80% of the vote in order to qualify to run against Joe Biden. And Bobby thought that was a little unfair, and that was about it. And he came on board, and we got very lucky. But you really helped, and I want to thank you very much, really. We're with you all the way. So Bobby, if you'd say, give him your thoughts, please.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And I do want to say something, because I get a lot of credit for steering this administration toward the MAHA movement. But I joined the campaign in August. I joined President Trump in August and became, went from independent to his campaign. But it was in June that he made a speech specifically on this issue. It was a MAHA speech before MAHA existed. And I took note of that speech at the time and thought there's a potential here for a common ground. So I want to thank you for your vision, for your courage, for standing up. President Trump is a populist president. He's a president. He's blamed for giving money to billionaires and all this stuff. We hear about that all the time. But he is on the side of the middle class, the working class, the poor in this country, people. And I've been following, I've met every president since my uncle was president. And I've never seen a president, Democrat or Republican, that is willing to stand up to industry when it's the right thing to do, and they're willing to talk about really difficult issues and to hold his stand on those issues. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm very, very grateful to you. I've sat with industry again and again in a room with him and heard him say, we can't do that. We're going to do something different, deliver news that they didn't want to hear. So I'm grateful to this. This is a milestone. There's never in American history has the federal government taken a position on public health like this. And because of President Trump's leadership, it's not just one cabinet secretary, it's the entire government that is behind this report. And I can say again, I talked a little bit about when I met Rachel Carson as a boy. My uncle tried to do this, but he was killed, and it never got done. And ever since then, we've been waiting for a president who would stand up and speak on behalf of the health of the American people and say, there is no difference between good economic policy, good environmental policy, and good public health policy, and good industrial policy. We can have all of them, but we need a united cabinet, and we need to go forward as a single people. I want to thank you for that, President Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. At its core, this report is a call to action for common sense. We've relied too much on conflicted research, ignored common sense, or what some would call mother's intuition. It's common sense that ultra-processed, nutrient-poor food contributes to chronic disease. It's common sense that excessive screen time and isolation lead to anxiety and depression, especially in children. It's common sense that exercise and healthy food should come before prescriptions and surgery. It's common sense that not all calories are equal in nutritional value. It's common sense that over-medicating kids is dangerous. It's common sense that we can celebrate the innovations of modern life while also demanding fearless inquiry into ameliorating the negative effects of medication, agriculture, and environmental practices. It's common sense that research funded by corporations deserves more scrutiny than independent studies. I'm so proud of this cabinet, and particularly Secretary Rollins and Administrator Zeldin, who, again, I'll say it a third time, work late nights, early into the morning to make this happen, and to all the leadership from the White House staff, beginning with Stephen Miller and Heidi Overton, Dr. Heidi Overton, with Vince Haley. Their leadership and their steady hand in getting us to the goal line we could not have done it without them. They helped us grapple with weighty issues and committed this administration to solving large, complex challenges like children's health. We're joined here by senators, advocates, governors who I have worked with, and CEOs who I know who are all ready to begin carrying out this mission. This is the beginning of a conversation, a national conversation that we are going to have with maturity, with nuance, for the first time in history, thanks to your leadership, President Trump. There is a reason that the MAHA moms sided with you, President Trump. It's because this administration has the bravery to tell the truth and solve problems through innovation and not any state regulation. President Trump, I'm honored to present you the MAHA report and work